Okay, so this is Module 13, the causes and categories of unemployment. So we talked about how to determine the unemployment rate, labor force participation rate. This is going to talk about the specific types of unemployment and something that we'll call the natural rate of unemployment. So there are four main types of unemployment. The first one we'll talk about is frictional unemployment. When you think of the word friction, right, what causes friction? Movement. And you should think about frictional as unemployment that is caused by movement of people between jobs, whether it's stages of life, meaning college graduates looking for their first job, whether it's movement because they change cities, so you move from Miami to New York or Miami to San Francisco. Okay, so frictional unemployment is actually something that is desirable. We want people to be able to move from place to place, to quit a job and look for a better job. And so there's always going to be some frictional unemployment. The next type of unemployment is structural unemployment. Structural unemployment is when the structure of the economy changes, meaning the people's skills don't match up to what the jobs in the economy that are available for them to take. So, in other words, you'll hear the presidential candidates talk about, we used to be a manufacturing country, and now manufacturing has moved overseas. So all of those people that used to work in factories, running manufacturing machines, making shirts, sewing, whatever, right now they don't have jobs. They need to go out and find the skills in order to be able to get a new job. This is also something, well, not always desirable. It's okay for people to say, you know what, I want more education, I want to do something else. And so both frictional and structural unemployment, as I'll say in a minute, are desirable. It's something that we don't really concern ourselves too much with. The next type of unemployment, cyclical unemployment, this is the type of unemployment that we really want to avoid. Cyclical, obviously, the root of cyclical is cycle. We've heard that when we talked about the business cycle. And so cyclical unemployment is based on the ups and downs of the business cycle. When the economy is doing great, unemployment is very low, everyone has jobs, nothing to complain about. When we're in a recession, this means that unemployment's high, lots of people aren't working. This is what our government really tries to avoid. And then finally, we have seasonal unemployment. Just as the name suggests, these are people that are working in the summertime, maybe. They, do whitewater rafting trips or something like that. But when winter comes, they don't have a job. Or in wintertime, they teach skiing. And then when there's no snow, they don't really have a job. Or maybe it's people that work in stores during the holiday season. Stores get busier, so they hire somebody. And then once, the season's over, they lose their job. So these are the four main types of unemployment. So we're going to talk about something called the natural rate of unemployment. This is something that's extremely important to understand, the natural rate of unemployment. Okay? We're never going to have an unemployment rate of zero because, as I mentioned before, there's always going to be some structural and some frictional unemployment. And again, that's desirable. That's not something that we're trying to eliminate. The natural rate of unemployment is the amount of unemployment that includes structural and frictional, and with cyclical being zero. We normally consider the natural rate of unemployment to be between 4 and 6%. So at any one time, 4 and 6% of the people in the labor force are going to be looking for a job, getting training for better jobs, and so on. And there are certain government policies that we'll talk about in a minute that can have an effect on the natural rate of unemployment. So, as we said, the natural rate of unemployment is the amount of frictional and structural unemployment combined, and it falls somewhere between 4 and 6%. Actual unemployment, which we're not really going to talk about necessarily, but the real unemployment rate, so if we're at 9%, right, we know that we have some higher number anywhere between 3 and 5% of cyclical unemployment. And this is what the government tries to stop. So changes in the natural rate of unemployment. How does this happen? Well, the labor force characteristics can change. You'll hear people talk about raising the retirement age. Okay, if more older people work, that's going to change the natural rate. If they're not forced to retire, of course, the natural rate would decrease. Changes in labor market institutions. So, if labor unions became a bigger part of, the workers' movement, wages would remain higher, and more people are going to say, "Wow, let me get into this field because I can make higher wages." Also, with the advent of Monster.com, places like this, you have people able to find jobs quicker. So this might reduce the amount of structural employment. And then finally, you have changes in government policies. Government could put policies into effect that maybe gives money to, excuse me, subsidies to companies that employ workers, and so they're going to be more apt to hire, or government training programs in order to train workers to be better equipped, so they're going to be able to enter the job market quicker. And now finally, some of the non-economic costs of unemployment. We know if people aren't working, they don't have money to spend, that's going to slow our economy down, but there's a lot of other costs that aren't always discussed. The first one, most people want to work. And if you don't have a job, you feel bad. Obviously, there are some people that would love to not work and just pick up a government paycheck. But the vast majority of people want the pride and the feeling of being able to take care of their family and bring home a paycheck. Morale, right? People just sort of feel bad. They don't like being in the country. They're not a part of the community. It's just, not working becomes a sore spot for a lot of people. Family disintegration. Obviously, there's stresses involved. When you can't put food on the table, when you're always deciding, do I pay this bill, do I do that? The kids maybe can't, have the birthday party that their friends are having. It becomes a sore spot, between husband and wife, perhaps. Obviously, without working, you fall into poverty. The longer you go without a job, the harder it is to get a job. So this becomes an issue as well. Racial and ethnic tensions, you hear this. You heard it even last presidential election with Mitt Romney, when he said 47% of the people want to get a check. You hear it from, obviously, Donald Trump tries to raise up and say, these people aren't good for the country. And so people think, I'm working, how come they can't work? And so on. So this becomes another non-economic cost. And then you see this happening. Suicide rates in rural America, as they've lost a lot of their jobs, are rising. Drug addiction is rising. People are having a hard time without being able to find jobs. And this is obviously an economics class, but it brings about many social issues as well. And then it can lead to violence and social unrest, political change, and things like that. Hopefully not, but if people reach that boiling point when it comes to employment, who knows how they might react. And so this is it for unemployment.